Jake Martinez sat alone at table 7 in the cafeteria of Series 7 mining station. The big room buzzed with voices speaking in dozens of different languages. Some sounded like music, others like grinding metal. Jake had been working on the station for 6 months now, but he still felt like an outsider. He looked down at his lunch tray. The same meal as always, a block of synthetic protein that tasted like cardboard, some watery vegetables, and a small pile of golden fries. The fries were the only good thing about station food. They were crispy and salty, just like the ones his mom used to make back on Earth. Jake picked up a fry and bit into it. The familiar taste made him think of home. He missed his family's small apartment in Denver. He missed his mom's cooking and his little sister's laugh. But he needed this job. The money was good, and his family needed every credit he could send home. Around him, aliens of all shapes and sizes ate their meals. There were the tall, green Vorthak with their 4 arms, the rock-like granite people who crunched mineral supplements, the bird-like skykin who chirped as they ate. Jake had learned to identify most of the species on the station, but he still kept to himself. He was about to take another bite when he noticed her. A small figure stood near the food line, looking around nervously. She was different from the other aliens Jake had seen. She looked almost like a fox that had learned to walk on 2 legs. Her fur was silver white, and she had large, bright blue eyes that seemed to glow in the artificial light. The fox girl was thin. Too thin. Jake could see her ribs through her patched work clothes. She held an empty tray in her small hands, but she wasn't moving toward the food. Instead, she kept looking at the credit scanner with worry in her eyes. Jake watched as she finally approached the food line. She pointed to the cheapest item on the menu, a small cup of nutrient paste. The machine beeped, and she scanned her work card. The screen flashed red. Not enough credits? She tried again, this time pointing to an even smaller portion. Red again. The fox girl's ears drooped, and she stepped back from the line. Jake saw her shoulders shake slightly. Without thinking, Jake stood up. He walked over to where the fox girl stood, still holding her empty tray. "Hey," he said softly. She jumped and turned to face him, her blue eyes wide with surprise and fear. "I'm sorry," she said in accented English. "I was not trying to cause trouble." "No trouble," Jake said, raising his hands peacefully. "I just, Are you okay?" The fox girl looked around nervously. "I'm fine, just not very hungry today." Jake could hear her stomach growling from 3 feet away. He made a decision. "Come sit with me," he said, pointing to his table. "I have too much food." "Oh, no, I could not," she said quickly. "I have no credits to pay you." "I'm not asking for credits," Jake said. "I'm asking you to help me eat all this food before it gets cold." The fox girl stared at him for a long moment. Finally, she nodded slowly and followed him to table 7. "I am Zara," she said as they sat down. "Jake," he replied. He pushed his tray to the center of the table. "Please, help yourself." Zara looked at the food like it might disappear if she blinked. This is very kind, but I must ask, what do you want in return?" Jake was confused. "Nothing. I just hate eating alone." "Nothing?" Zara's voice was barely a whisper. "Nothing," Jake confirmed. He picked up half of his fries and put them on the empty side of his tray, then slid it toward her. "Here, these are really good." Zara's eyes filled with tears. She picked up one fry with shaking hands and bit into it. Her expression changed immediately. She ate the fry quickly, then another and another. Soon she was eating with the desperate hunger of someone who hadn't had a real meal in days. "Slow down," Jake said gently. "The food's not going anywhere." Zara paused, looking embarrassed. "I am sorry. I have not had food this good in a very long time." "How long?" Jake asked. 3 days since my last real meal," Zara admitted. "I have been eating scraps from the waste processors." Jake felt sick. 3 days? Why? "My work contract," Zara explained between bites. "I am indentured. My family sold my contract to pay their debts. Most of my earnings go to the contract holders. What is left barely covers my sleeping pod." "That's terrible," Jake said. "What kind of work do you do?" Hazardous waste processing, Zara said. Level 5 contamination areas. It is dangerous work, but someone must do it. Jake knew about level 5 areas. They were so toxic that most species couldn't work there for more than a few hours without getting sick. The fact that this small, gentle creature was doing that kind of work made him angry. How old are you? He asked. By your Earth years, I am 19, Zara said. Still young for my people. We live much longer than humans. 19? Jake repeated. She was just a kid. Listen, Zara, I eat lunch here every day at the same time. You should join me. Zara's eyes went very wide. Every day? Every day, Jake confirmed. I get tired of eating alone, and it looks like you could use a friend. Zara set down her fry and stared at him. You would do this? Share your food with me every day? Even though I am not human? Especially because you're not human, Jake said. I'm the only human on this station. I know what it's like to feel alone, but sharing food. Zara's voice trailed off. She looked at Jake with an expression he couldn't read. What about it? Jake asked. Among my people, sharing food is ... She paused, searching for words. It is sacred. It means many things. Well, where I come from, sharing food means you care about someone, Jake said. And I care about you not starving. Zara was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke again, her voice was very serious. Jake Martinez of Earth, you have shown me great kindness. My people do not forget such things. It's just lunch, Jake said with a smile, but even as he said it, he could see that for Zara it was much more than just lunch. The way she looked at him had changed. There was something new in her bright blue eyes. Something that looked like devotion. Jake finished his protein block and watched as Zara carefully ate every last fry. She was still thin, but some color had returned to her cheeks. When she was done, she folded her hands in her lap and looked at him seriously. Thank you, she said. I will not forget this kindness. See you tomorrow? Jake asked. Yes, Zara said firmly. I will see you tomorrow. As Jake walked back to his work shift, he felt good about helping someone who needed it. He had no idea that his simple act of sharing fries had just changed both of their lives forever. The next day, Jake arrived at the cafeteria at his usual time. He got his food and sat at table 7, wondering if Zara would actually show up. He didn't have to wait long. She appeared at the entrance, looking around until she spotted him. When their eyes met, her whole face lit up. She hurried over to his table, carrying her own tray this time. You came? Jake said, smiling. Of course I came, Zara replied, sitting down across from him. I said I would. Jake noticed that she had managed to buy some food today, a small cup of nutrient paste and a piece of hard bread. It wasn't much, but it was something. Here, Jake said, sliding half his fries across the table again. These go better with real food. Zara's eyes widened. Again? You are sharing with me again? I told you every day, Jake said. I meant it. As they ate, Jake learned more about Zara and her people. The Kithara came from a world with harsh winters and little food. They had developed a strong culture around loyalty and family bonds. Sharing food was one of their most important traditions. When someone shares their food with you, Zara explained, it means they see you as family. It creates a debt that must be honored. I don't want you to feel like you owe me anything, Jake said. I'm just being friendly. But that is not how my people see it, Zara said seriously. You have created what we call the sacred debt. It is a bond that cannot be broken. Jake wasn't sure what that meant, but he could see it was important to her. Okay, if it makes you happy. Over the next few days, Jake began to notice strange things. Zara started showing up outside his work area when his shift ended. She would walk with him to the cafeteria, then walk with him back to his quarters. She never asked to do this, she just appeared. You don't have to escort me everywhere, Jake told her one evening as they walked through the station corridors. I want to, Zara said simply. It is my duty. Your duty? To make sure you are safe, Zara explained. You have shown me great kindness. I must protect that kindness. Jake thought this was a bit much for sharing some fries, but he didn't want to hurt her feelings. Zara was good company, and he had been lonely on the station. Other workers began to notice the odd pair, a big human mechanic and a small fox-like alien walking together everywhere. Jake heard the whispers and saw the strange looks, but he ignored them. One day, Zara didn't show up for lunch. Jake waited for 30 minutes before going to look for her. He found her in the hazardous waste section, working in her protective suit. Through the viewing window, he could see her moving carefully through the contaminated materials. When her shift ended, she stumbled out of the decontamination chamber looking sick and exhausted. Jake was waiting for her. "You should not be here?" Zara said weakly. "This area is dangerous for humans." "I was worried," Jake said. "You missed lunch." "I had to work through lunch period," Zara explained. "There was a spill in Section 7. It took extra time to clean." Jake felt angry. "They made you work through lunch? That's not legal." "It is legal for indentured workers," Zara said sadly. "We have fewer rights than free citizens." That night, Jake couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about Zara working in those toxic areas for barely enough food to survive. The next morning, he made a decision. He went to the station's legal office and asked about work contracts. The clerk, a bored-looking human woman named Lisa Hayes, looked up from her paperwork. "What kind of contract are you asking about?" she asked. "Indentured labor contracts," Jake said. "Is there a way to buy someone out of one?" Lisa's expression became serious. "That depends on the contract terms and the species involved." "Why do you ask?" "I have a friend who's being treated badly," Jake said. "She's working in hazardous waste processing and barely earning enough to eat." "What species is your friend?" Lisa asked. "Kithara," Jake said. Lisa whistled low. "Kithara contracts are complicated. Their culture has specific rules about debt and obligation. Are you sure you want to get involved in this?" "I'm sure," Jake said. Lisa pulled up some files on her computer. "I'll need to research this. Come back in a few days and I'll tell you what I find." Meanwhile, Zara's behavior was becoming even more protective. She had started bringing Jake small gifts, shiny pieces of metal she found in the waste processing areas, unusual crystals from the mining operations, and once a small electronic device she had repaired. "You don't need to give me things," Jake told her. "But I want to," Zara said. "You give me food every day, I must give you something in return." "The food is a gift," Jake said. "Gifts don't need to be paid back." Zara looked confused. "But if I do not repay the debt, how will the balance be restored?" "There is no debt," Jake said gently. "We're friends. Friends help each other." "Friends?" Zara repeated, as if testing the word. "Yes, we are friends, but you are more than friend to me now. You're ... How do you say family?" Jake felt a warm feeling in his chest. He had been alone on the station for so long that he had forgotten what it felt like to have someone care about him. One evening, as Jake was leaving his work area, he found Zara waiting for him as usual. But this time she looked excited. "I have something for you," she said, holding out a small package wrapped in cloth. Jake unwrapped it carefully. Inside was a small cake about the size of his palm. It was slightly burned around the edges, and an odd green color, but it smelled sweet. "I made it myself," Zara said proudly. "I used the food synthesizer in the common area. It is made with earth ingredients, flour, sugar, eggs. I studied human cooking files to learn how." Jake took a bite. It was actually terrible, too sweet and with a strange bitter aftertaste. But seeing the hopeful expression on Zara's face, he smiled. "It's delicious," he said. "Thank you." Zara's tail wagged happily. "I was worried it would not taste right." "Kithara cooking is very different from human cooking." "It's perfect," Jake said, taking another bite. "You made this just for me?" "Of course," Zara said. "You share your food with me every day. I wanted to share my food with you." As they walked to the cafeteria together, Jake realized something had changed between them. What had started as a simple act of kindness had become something deeper. Zara wasn't just grateful to him, she was devoted to him in a way that went beyond normal friendship. Other workers on the station had begun to notice too. Jake heard them talking about the strange human and his alien pet. The comments bothered him, but he didn't know how to address them without making things worse for Zara. One day, Lisa Hayes approached him in the cafeteria. "I've been researching your friend's contract," she said quietly. "We need to talk." "What did you find?" Jake asked. "It's complicated," Lisa said. "Cathara culture has some very specific rules about indentured contracts. But there's something else. The way your friend has been acting toward you, following you around, bringing you gifts, protecting you, it's triggering something in her culture called a sacred bond." "What does that mean?" Jake asked. "It means she's starting to see you as more than just a friend," Lisa explained. "Among the Cathara, when someone saves your life or shows you extraordinary kindness, it can create a permanent bond. Once that bond is formed, it cannot be broken." Jake felt a chill run down his spine. "What kind of bond?" "A protective bond," Lisa said. "She would literally die to protect you. And according to Cathara law, anyone who threatens you would be considered an enemy of her entire family line." Jake looked across the cafeteria to where Zara sat waiting for him. She was watching him with those bright blue eyes, and for the first time he saw something that worried him. There was an intensity in her gaze that hadn't been there before. "What do I do?" Jake asked. "Be careful," Lisa said. Cathara bonds are not something to take lightly. Once formed, they last for life. As Jake walked back to his table, he wondered what he had gotten himself into. All he had done was share his fries with a hungry girl. How had it turned into something so serious? But when he saw Zara's face light up as he approached, he knew it was too late to turn back. Whatever was happening between them, he was part of it now. Jake was fixing a broken air recycler in Section 12 when the alarm sounded. 3 sharp blasts echoed through the station corridors. It was the signal for incoming official visitors. He wiped his hands on his coveralls and walked to the nearest viewing port. Outside, a sleek black ship was docking with the station. The ship bore the markings of the Cathara Enforcement Guild. Jake felt his stomach drop. He had heard about the guild from other workers. They were the ones who enforced contracts and collected debts for the Cathara government. They were known for being harsh and showing no mercy. He finished his work quickly and hurried to the cafeteria. Zara was already there, sitting at their usual table, but she looked terrified. Her silver fur was standing on end, and her blue eyes were wide with fear. "Did you see the ship?" Jake asked, sitting down across from her. "Yes," Zara whispered. "They have come for me." "What do you mean?" "My contract," Zara said, her voice shaking. "It has been sold again. The guild only comes when there is a transfer of ownership." Jake felt anger rising in his chest. "Sold? To who?" "I do not know," Zara said. "But it cannot be good. The guild only handles the most dangerous contracts." Before Jake could respond, the cafeteria doors burst open. 3 Cathara in black uniforms entered. They were larger than Zara, with darker fur and visible scars. The leader was a tall female with a missing left ear and claw marks across her face. "Worker designation Z7749, the leader called out in a harsh voice. "Present yourself." Zara stood slowly, her legs shaking. "I am here, Commander Thex." "Your contract has been transferred to the Frontier Defense Corps," Commander Thex announced. "You will come with us immediately." Jake had heard of the Frontier Defense Corps. They used expendable troops to scout dangerous territories and fight in hopeless battles. It was basically a death sentence. "Wait," Jake said, standing up. "She's still under contract with the mining station. You can't just take her." Commander Thex looked at Jake with cold, yellow eyes. "Human, this does not concern you. Step aside." "I'm not stepping aside," Jake said, moving closer to Zara. "She has rights. She has no rights," Commander Thex said. "She is indentured property. Her new owners have paid well for her services." "What kind of services?" Jake demanded. "Suicide scouting missions," Commander Thex said casually. "The Corps need soldiers who can go into hostile territory and gather intelligence. Most do not return." Zara made a small, scared sound. Jake saw her hands shaking. "That's murder," Jake said. "That is the contract," Commander Thex replied. "Now stand aside, or we will move you." The other two guild members stepped forward. They were both armed with energy weapons. Jake knew he was outgunned and outnumbered, but he couldn't let them take Zara. "No," Jake said firmly. "I won't let you take her," Commander Vex laughed. "You will not let us? You are one weak human. What do you think you can do against trained Cathara warriors?" "I can try," Jake said. Zara grabbed his arm. "Jake, no. It will hurt you." "I don't care," Jake said. "This is wrong." Commander Vex gestured to her companions. "Remove the human. Use force if necessary." The two guild members moved toward Jake. He backed up, keeping himself between them and Zara. "Please," Zara said to Commander Vex, "leave him alone. He has done nothing wrong." "He is interfering with guild business," Commander Vex said. "That is crime enough." One of the guild members reached for Jake. Jake dodged and grabbed a chair, holding it like a weapon. It was pathetic compared to their energy weapons, but he wasn't going to give up. "Stop!" Zara shouted suddenly. Her voice was different, deeper, and more commanding than Jake had ever heard it. Everyone froze. Zara stepped forward, placing herself directly between Jake and the guild members. "You will not harm him," Zara said. Her voice was steady now, filled with authority. "Worker Z7749, you are in violation of your contract," Commander Vex said. "Step aside immediately." "I claim sacred bond protection," Zara announced. The effect was immediate. All three guild members stepped back, their expressions changing from anger to shock. "What did you say?" Commander Vex asked. "I claim sacred bond protection under the ancient laws," Zara repeated. "This human is under my protection. Anyone who harms him will answer to me and my bloodline." "Impossible," Commander Vex said. "Humans cannot form sacred bonds with Cathara." "This one can," Zara said. "He has shared his food with me every day for 3 weeks. He has shown me kindness without expectation of payment. He has protected me from harm. By our oldest laws, he is my bonded one." Jake didn't understand what was happening, but he could see the change in Zara. She stood straighter, her fear replaced by fierce determination. Her eyes seemed to glow brighter. "Even if that were true," Commander Vex said, "it would not void your contract." "It would if the bond is recognized by the guild," Zara said. "And you must recognize it. You can smell the truth on me." Commander Vex stepped closer to Zara and inhaled deeply. Jake saw her expression change. "Impossible," she whispered. "You have actually bonded with a human." "I have," Zara said proudly. "Jake Martinez is my bonded one. His protection is my sacred duty." "But the contract ... one of the other guild members began. "The sacred bond supersedes all contracts," Zara said. "This is the oldest law of our people. Even you must honor it." Commander Vex looked angry and frustrated. "The Corps will not accept this. They have paid good money for you." "Then they should have checked for sacred bonds before purchasing the contract," Zara replied. "Their failure to do proper research is not my problem." Jake watched in amazement as Zara faced down the 3 trained warriors. She was no longer the scared, hungry girl he had met in the cafeteria. She was something fierce and powerful. "I do not believe this bond is real," Commander Vex said. "I think you are lying to avoid your duties." "Then test it," Zara said. "Try to harm him and see what happens." Commander Vex raised her energy weapon and pointed it at Jake. "Last chance, worker. Come with us, or your human friend dies?" Jake felt his heart racing, but he stood his ground. "Do what you have to do." Zara moved so fast that Jake barely saw her. One moment she was standing beside him, the next she was in front of Commander Vex, her claws extended and her teeth bared in a snarl that made Jake's blood run cold. "You dare threaten my bonded one?" Zara roared. Her voice echoed through the cafeteria like thunder. Commander Vex stumbled backward, her weapon forgotten. "By the ancestors, you are truly bonded." "I am," Zara said, her voice deadly calm. "And if you harm even a hair on his head, I will hunt you across the galaxy and make you pay." The other guild members looked terrified. Jake realized he was seeing something rare, a Cathara in full protective mode. This was what their species was like when they fought to protect their families. This complicates things," Commander Thex said. It does not complicate things, Zara replied. It ends them. I'm no longer available for contract transfer. My bond duties take precedence. The Corps will not accept this, Commander Thex warned. Then the Corps can challenge me in formal combat, Zara said. I will face their best warrior in single combat for the right to stay with my bonded one. Jake had never seen anything like it. Zara was willing to fight to the death for him, all because he had shared his lunch with her. This is not over, Commander Thex said, backing toward the exit. The Corps will send representatives. They will. Demand proof of this bond. I welcome their investigation, Zara said. They will find that my bond is true and strong. The 3 guild members left quickly, leaving Jake and Zara alone in the cafeteria. Other workers who had been watching from a distance began to whisper among themselves. Zara turned to Jake, her fierce expression softening immediately. Are you hurt? No, Jake said, but Zara ... what just happened? I protected you, Zara said simply, as is my duty. But they'll come back, Jake said, and next time they'll bring more people. Then I will protect you from them too, Zara said. You are my bonded one, Jake Martinez? I will fight the entire galaxy to keep you safe. Jake looked into her glowing blue eyes and realized that everything had changed. There was no going back to their simple friendship. Zara had claimed him as her own, and she would do anything to protect him. The question was, what would he do to protect her? 3 days passed before the guild returned. Jake spent those days learning everything he could about Cathara culture and sacred bonds. What he discovered both amazed and worried him. According to the legal databases, a sacred bond was one of the strongest relationships in Cathara society. It was more binding than marriage, more permanent than family ties. Once formed, it could only be broken by death. Lisa Hayes had been helping him research the legal implications. The problem is, she explained, the Frontier Defense Corps has a lot of political power. They might try to challenge the bond in court. What would happen then? Jake asked. Zara would have to prove the bond is real, Lisa said. And if they rule against her, she could face criminal charges for breaking her contract. Jake felt sick. What kind of charges? Theft of services? Contract violation, possibly treason, Lisa said. The Cathara government takes these things seriously. During those 3 days, Zara barely left Jake's side. She accompanied him to work, waited outside his quarters while he slept, and sat with him during every meal. Other workers on the station began to give them strange looks. She's acting like a bodyguard, one worker whispered to his friend as they passed Jake's table. More like a guard dog, the friend replied. Jake pretended not to hear the comments, but he could see they bothered Zara. Her ears would flatten against her head whenever someone made a rude comment. You don't have to follow me everywhere, Jake told her one evening as they walked to his quarters. Yes, I do, Zara replied. The guild will return. When they do, I must be ready to protect you. But what about your own work? Won't you get in trouble for missing shifts? I requested transfer to light duty, Zara said. I told them I was having health problems from the hazardous waste exposure. Jake felt guilty. Zara was giving up her income to protect him. I don't want you to sacrifice your job for me. My job is keeping you safe now, Zara said firmly. Nothing else matters. On the 4th day, the guild returned. But this time, they brought reinforcements. Jake counted at least 12 Cathara. In black uniforms as they marched through the station corridors, Commander Thex led them straight to the cafeteria, where Jake and Zara were having lunch. The entire room fell silent as the guild members surrounded their table. Worker Z7749, Commander Thex announced. You are under arrest for contract violation and fraud? Zara stood slowly, her body tense. I have committed no fraud. My sacred bond is real. The Frontier Defense Corps has demanded an investigation, Commander Thex said. They believe you have fabricated this bond to avoid your duties. Then let them investigate, Zara said. They will find nothing but truth. The investigation will be conducted by combat trial, Commander Thex announced. You will face a guild champion in single combat. If you win, your bond will be recognized. If you lose, you will be executed for treason. Jake jumped to his feet. That's insane. She's half the size of your warriors. Combat trial is traditional Kithara law, Commander Thex said. She has the right to accept or refuse. And if she refuses? Jake asked. Then she will be taken immediately to fulfill her contract with the Corps. Commander Thex said. Jake looked at Zara. She was staring at the guild members with a strange expression. Not fear, but something else. Something that made Jake's blood run cold. I accept, Zara said quietly. No, Jake said immediately. Zara, you can't. They'll kill you. If I do not fight, they will take me anyway, Zara said. At least this way I have a chance. What chance? Jake demanded. Look at them. They're all twice your size. Size is not everything, Zara said. I have something they do not. What's that? Zara looked at Jake with those bright blue eyes. I have something worth fighting for. Commander Thex smiled coldly. The trial will take place in 1 hour in the main cargo bay. All station personnel are invited to witness. As the guild members left to prepare, Jake grabbed Zara's arm. There has to be another way. There is no other way, Zara said. This is Kithara law. I must prove my bond through combat. But you could die, Jake said desperately. I could, Zara agreed. But if I do not fight, I will die anyway. The Corps sends their scouts on suicide missions. At least this way, my death will have meaning. Jake felt tears in his eyes. I never wanted this. I just wanted to help you. You did help me, Zara said softly. You showed me what it means to be cared for. You gave me a reason to live. Now let me give you a reason to be proud. An hour later, the cargo bay was packed with spectators. Word had spread throughout the station about the combat trial. Aliens of all species had come to watch. Jake stood at the front of the crowd, his heart pounding. Beside him, Lisa Hayes watched with a grim expression. She doesn't have a chance, Lisa whispered. The guild champion is a veteran warrior. He's killed dozens of opponents in combat trials. Jake saw the champion as he entered the bay. He was massive, even by Kithara standards. His dark fur was covered in scars, and his claws were longer than Jake's fingers. He moved with the confidence of someone who had never lost a fight. Zara entered from the opposite side of the bay. She looked tiny compared to the champion, but Jake could see the determination in her posture. She had changed into simple fighting clothes, a sleeveless shirt and loose pants that wouldn't restrict her movement. Commander Thex stood between them, holding a ceremonial blade. This is a trial by combat to determine the validity of a claimed sacred bond. The accused will face the guild champion in single combat. The trial ends when one fighter yields or dies. She turned to Zara. Do you wish to make any statement before the trial begins? Zara looked across the bay at Jake. I fight for my bonded one. I fight for the human who showed me kindness when I had nothing. I fight for the bond that makes me whole. And you, champion? Commander Thex asked. I fight for the honor of the guild, the champion rumbled. I fight to expose this fraud and restore proper order. Commander Thex raised the blade. Let the trial begin. The champion charged immediately, his massive claws extended. Jake thought the fight would be over in seconds. But Zara was ready. She dodged to the side as the champion's claws raked the air where she had been standing. The champion was fast, but Zara was faster. Jake watched in amazement as Zara moved around the cargo bay like a silver shadow. She was smaller than the champion, but she used that to her advantage. She stayed low, striking at his legs and sides. Before dancing away from his counterattacks, the champion roared in frustration as his claws found nothing but empty air. Stand still and fight, coward. I am fighting, Zara replied calmly. Are you? The crowd murmured as they watched the small female outmaneuver the massive warrior. But Jake could see that Zara was getting tired. Her breathing was becoming labored, and her movements were getting slower. The champion noticed too. He changed his strategy, backing Zara toward a corner of the bay. With less room to move, she would be trapped. Nowhere to run now, the champion snarled. Zara's back touched the wall. The champion lunged forward, his claws aimed at her heart. Jake closed his eyes, unable to watch, but when he opened them, Zara was no longer against the wall. She had dropped to the ground and rolled between the champion's legs. As he turned to follow her, she leaped onto his back. "What are you doing?" the champion demanded, trying to shake her off. "Winning," Zara said. She wrapped her arms around the champion's thick neck in a chokehold. He thrashed wildly, trying to dislodge her, but she held on with desperate strength. "You cannot defeat me this way," the champion gasped. "I am too strong." "Strength is not everything," Zara replied. "Sometimes you need to know when to let go." Jake didn't understand what she meant until he saw her reach for something on her belt. It was a small device, one of the electronic components she had repaired in the waste processing areas. "What is that?" the champion demanded. "A gift from my bonded one," Zara said. "He taught me that humans use tools to overcome obstacles they cannot face with strength alone." She pressed a button on the device. Immediately a high-pitched whine filled the cargo bay. The champion screamed and fell to his knees, clutching his ears. "Sonic disruptor?" Lisa whispered to Jake. "It targets the Kithra's sensitive hearing." The champion rolled on the ground, trying to escape the painful sound. Zara stood over him, the device in her hand. "Yield," she commanded. "Never," the champion gasped. "Then I will increase the frequency," Zara said. "Your eardrums will burst and you will be deaf for the rest of your life." The champion looked up at her with hatred in his eyes. But Jake could see the fear there too. The warrior who had killed dozens of opponents was being defeated by a small female with a piece of salvaged electronics. I yield," the champion whispered. Zara turned off the device immediately. The cargo bay fell silent except for the champion's labored breathing. Commander Vex stepped forward, her expression shocked. "The trial is concluded. The accused has proven her bond through combat." The crowd erupted in cheers and applause. Jake felt his knees go weak with relief. Zara had won. She was safe, but as Jake looked at her standing over the defeated champion, he realized something had changed. Zara was no longer the scared, hungry girl he had met in the cafeteria. She was something new, something fierce and powerful. Zara walked across the bay toward Jake, her blue eyes glowing with triumph. The crowd parted before her, showing her the respect due to a warrior who had just won an impossible vic. 2 weeks after the combat trial, Jake's life had settled into a new routine. But it was very different from his old life on the station. Zara had moved into his quarters as she had promised. She slept on a small bed beside his, always alert. Even in sleep, Jake had woken up several times during the night to find her sitting up, listening to sounds in the corridor that he couldn't even hear. "Do you ever really sleep?" he asked her one morning. "I sleep enough," Zara replied. "My people are light sleepers. We must always be ready to defend our families." Jake had also noticed that other workers on the station treated him differently now. They spoke to him with respect, even fear. Some avoided him entirely. "It's because of what happened in the cargo bay," Lisa Hayes explained when Jake asked her about it. "You're not just a mechanic anymore. You're bonded to a warrior who defeated a guild champion in single combat. People are afraid of what she might do if they offend you." "That's ridiculous," Jake said. "Zara wouldn't hurt anyone unless they threatened me." "Exactly," Lisa said. "And that's what scares them. They've never seen devotion like that before." Jake was beginning to understand what Lisa meant. Zara's protection of him was absolute. When a drunk worker had accidentally bumped into Jake in the corridor, Zara had stepped between them so fast that the worker had sobered up immediately. When the food synthesizer had given Jake the wrong meal, Zara had stared at the machine so intensely that Jake worried she might attack it. "You don't have to guard me from everything," Jake told her. "Some things are just accidents." "I know the difference between accidents and threats," Zara said. "But I also know that accidents can be dangerous. I will not let anything harm you, even by chance." The most challenging part of their new life was dealing with the legal aftermath of the combat trial. The Frontier Defense Corps had filed a formal complaint with the Galactic Mediation Council, demanding that the sacred bond be declared invalid. They're claiming that humans cannot form valid bonds with Kithara, Lisa explained during one of their meetings. They want the council to rule that the bond is a legal fiction. Can they do that? Jake asked. They can try, Lisa said. But it will require a full hearing before the council. Both you and Zara will need to testify about the nature of your bond. Jake felt nervous about the idea of testifying before the Galactic Mediation Council. It was the highest legal authority in known space, with representatives from hundreds of different species. What if they rule against us? Jake asked. Then Zara would be returned to the cores, Lisa said quietly. And you would never see her again. That night Jake couldn't sleep. He lay in his bed, staring at the ceiling and worrying about the hearing. Beside him, Zara was also awake. You are troubled, she observed. I'm scared, Jake admitted. What if the council doesn't believe our bond is real? Then we will make them believe, Zara said firmly. The bond between us is stronger than any law or ruling. But what if it's not enough? Zara sat up in her bed and looked at him. Jake Martinez, do you regret sharing your food with me that first day? No, Jake said immediately. Never. Do you regret the bond we have formed? No, Jake said again. I love having you as part of my life. And I love being part of your life, Zara said. That is what the council will see. They will see that our bond is built on something real and true. 3 weeks later, they received notice that the hearing would take place on the neutral station, New Geneva. Jake had never been to New Geneva, but he had heard it was one of the most impressive space stations in the galaxy. The journey took 2 days on a commercial transport. Jake was amazed by the size and diversity of New Geneva when they arrived. The station was home to millions of beings from hundreds of species, all living and working together. It's incredible, Jake said as they walked through the main concourse. It is very different from Series 7, Zara agreed. But I do not like it. Too many people, too many potential threats. Jake noticed that Zara was more alert than usual. Her head swiveled constantly, tracking every movement around them. Her hand stayed close to the sonic disruptor she still carried. Relax, Jake said. We're safe here. We are safe because I am watching, Zara corrected. The moment I relax is the moment someone might try to hurt you. The hearing was scheduled for the next day. That evening, Jake and Zara met with their legal representative, a tall insectoid lawyer named Advocate Click. The Cores has assembled an impressive legal team, Advocate Click informed them. They will argue that sacred bonds can only exist between members of the same species. But that's not true, Jake said. Zara explained that bonds can form with anyone who shows the right kind of kindness. The law is often different from tradition, Advocate Click said. The Cores will argue that ancient Kithara law has been misinterpreted. What do we need to prove? Zara asked. That your bond is genuine and was formed according to traditional Kithara customs? Advocate Click said. The council will want to hear exactly how the bond was created and what it means to both of you. The next morning, Jake and Zara entered the council chambers. The room was enormous, with seating for representatives from dozens of species. At the center was a raised platform where the council members sat. Jake felt small and nervous as he looked at the assembled beings. These were some of the most powerful individuals in the galaxy, and they were about to decide his and Zara's fate. The case of the Frontier Defense Corps versus Jake Martinez and Zara of the Kithara will now begin, announced the council president, a being that looked like a living crystal. Let the Corps present their argument. The Corps lawyer, a stern-looking Kithara in military uniform, stood and began his presentation. Honored Council, the Corps argues that the claimed sacred bond between these two individuals is fraudulent. Sacred bonds are sacred precisely because they are rare and meaningful. They cannot be formed simply by sharing food. Jake felt his heart sink. The lawyer made it sound like what he and Zara had was nothing special. Furthermore, the lawyer continued, allowing interspecies sacred bonds would set a dangerous precedent. Every indentured worker in the galaxy would claim to have bonded with a sympathetic alien to escape their contracts. The Corps' lawyer spoke for an hour, presenting legal precedents and arguing that the bond should be invalidated. When he finished, it was Advocate Click's turn. Honored counsel, Advocate Click began, the Corps misunderstands the nature of sacred bonds. They are not created by single acts, but by sustained kindness and mutual care. Jake Martinez did not simply share one meal with Zara. He shared his food with her every day for weeks, asking nothing in return. Advocate Click gestured too. Jake and Zara, look at them. See how she positions herself to protect him. See how he looks at her with genuine affection. This is not a legal fiction. This is a real bond between two beings who care deeply for each other. But they are different species, one of the council members pointed out. How can a bond designed for Cathara families work with humans? Because kindness transcends species, Advocate Click replied. The sacred bond is not about biology, it is about the soul. The council president turned to Jake and Zara. The council will now hear testimony from the bonded individuals. Jake Martinez, please approach. Jake walked to the center of the chamber, on shaking legs. He looked up at the council members, trying to find his courage. Tell us about your relationship with Zara, the president said. Jake took a deep breath. I met Zara in the cafeteria on Series 7. She was hungry and didn't have enough credits for food. I shared my lunch with her because ... because it was the right thing to do. Where I come from, you don't let people go hungry if you can help it. And what happened after that? Another council member asked. I kept sharing my lunch with her, Jake said. Every day. She was working in dangerous conditions and barely earning enough to survive. I couldn't stand the thought of her being hungry. Did you expect anything in return? No, Jake said firmly. I just wanted to help her. And now? What is your bond? Would Zara mean to you? Jake looked at Zara, who was watching him with those bright blue eyes. It means everything. She's not just my friend. She's my family. I would do anything to protect her, just like she would do anything to protect me. Thank you, the president said. Zara, please approach. Zara walked to the center of the chamber with confident steps. She looked up at the council members without fear. Zara of the Cathara, the president said, explained to the council how this bond was formed. Among my people, food sharing is sacred, Zara said. It is how we show love and create family bonds. When Jake shared his food with me, he was offering me a place in his family. When I accepted, I became part of his family, and he became part of mine. But he is human, a council member pointed out. How can a human be part of a Cathara family? Family is not about species, Zara said. It is about choice. Jake chose to care for me when I had nothing. I chose to bond with him because he showed me what true kindness looks like. And you are willing to die for him? I am willing to die for him, Zara said without hesitation. I am willing to kill for him. I am willing to give up everything for him. That is what bonded ones do. And you, Jake Martinez? The president asked. Are you willing to make the same commitment? Jake looked at Zara, then at the council members. Yes, I am. The council members conferred quietly among themselves.